Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. We're so honored to have with us today Mollie Engelhart. She's the owner and chef and founder of Sage Vegan. She's also my friend, and my brother and I are business partners with her. We've invested in her amazing food products. Welcome to Green is Good, Mollie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Mollie, we're so excited to have you on today. I just had to get that disclaimer out because I never want people to think otherwise of why we have people on and things of that such. But you are one of the premier restaurateurs in the United States. Sage has taken it by storm in Los Angeles, in Silver Lake, and now in Culver City. And it also is a vegan restaurant. But before we get into talking about how you founded these two great restaurants and also your delicious ice cream brand, Kind Cream, I'd like you to share your journey. How did you even get to this place? What made you want to go into the restaurant business and become a vegan?
I was raised vegan. I was vegan from the womb, so there is no, when I came to some big epiphany about the animals and then stopped eating meat. When I was like 12, I tried meat because I was like, oh, we're like destroying the environment. We're getting cancer. We're getting heart disease, like all this stuff I knew. And we're abusing animals by the millions. So I was like, this stuff is going to taste like, I thought the heavens were going to open up and gold was going to rain down on me when I tasted it because I knew the impact before I ever had tasted it. And I was like, it's kind of like chewy. I'm cool on it. And I never ate it again. So I did try meat once when I was 12. I tried a little tiny bite of chicken and a little tiny bite of a hamburger. But I did a lot of things before I was in the restaurant industry. I went to Cal Arts for film making and right out of high school. So that's how I got to California from New York. And then while I was in college for filmmaking, my neighbor was an A&R at Sony, and he hired me as his personal assistant while I was still in college. And then I went full-time working for Max Goose, who's now at Def Jam, but at the time was at Sony. And I was his assistant for a brief period of time, a year or so. And then I opened my own recording studio in North Hollywood, and I did that and was fairly successful at it for several years. And then the music industry had a crash, like between Pro Tools and downloading, the whole recording industry changed. People could record music for much less money, and people were not selling albums the way they used to because people could steal music from the internet for free. And so because my business was still fairly new, 5 years old, I couldn't weather that storm. We just had too much expenses to weather that crazy storm. So I piecemealed off, sold everything, sold my house, and paid off all my debts and was back down to zero. And was professionally a poet for several years. I was on HBO Def Poetry and toured the country. Was at every college from like Podunk nowhere to Harvard performing poetry. And then that was cool, but it was really not that much money. And then I grew medical marijuana briefly for some years in there. And then my best friend, Mimi, and business partner got pregnant, and she was an actress, and she was like, I want to do something more steady. And I was like, well, I don't want to tour anymore. It's like lonely on the road, and I'm in the hotel room, and you do 1 hour of poetry, and then you're by yourself for 24 hours. So we opened the ice cream shop, and that pretty much very fast brings us to today.
Well, okay.
Ice cream shop led into Sage.
And the ice cream shop is called Kind Cream, right?
Yes, Kind Cream vegan ice cream, and it's a all vegan with the exception of honey ice cream parlor, and we have multiple different sweeteners, not just honey, but agave and coconut palm sugar and maple syrup options. And with the exception of the soft serve, it's all raw and it's all organic. So
unbelievable.
We started with that, and that led. We quickly opened the first store in in Studio City, and then from Studio City we opened one in Pasadena. And then the same time we were opening the store in Pasadena, the opportunity for Sage happened. And I guess really what happened with Sage is these guys were opening a restaurant, and they asked me if I wanted to buy the restaurant opportunity They had opened a restaurant. It failed. They asked me if I wanted to buy the restaurant opportunity. I said yes. And they said, oh, well, we have to give the chef a chance to buy it out. And I said, oh, sure, go ahead. And then I didn't hear from them for like a long time. And in the meantime, I was opening the store in Pasadena, and I was doing a movie that went to Sundance with Mark Webber. So I was like, spent a bunch of money in that time. And so then they called back, and I was like, oh, I don't have the cash anymore to buy your restaurant. Sorry. And they were like, call me back like a week later, and they were like, okay, well, we have another idea. What if we open a vegan restaurant and you take the front area and do Kind Cream because you're already so popular? It will be a draw to our restaurant, because they had already tried one vegan restaurant. It failed, and they were going to try with a different chef. And Silver Lake is such a good neighborhood, I couldn't say no, and everybody was mad. Like, my husband at the time, everybody was like, are you crazy? You just opened a store, we're making a movie, like, we don't have any money, like, ah! Everybody was mad. And I was like, my gut tells me we have to do this, we can't not do it. And very quickly I realized these guys, bless their hearts, they're from Palestine, and they're, you know, into making money, but they didn't know anything about vegan food. And they were like sneaking croissants from Costco in, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I started to see what was happening, so that I started like policing that. I started like never wanting to leave the restaurant because I was scared that that restaurant was going to impact on my name. And so finally I approached them and I said, like, I'm working every day. I'm like so freaked out. I'm like teaching you guys what to do. I need to buy into the restaurant, and I need to be part of it because I'm working as hard for your restaurant as I am for the ice cream portion of the situation. And so I bought in, and I eventually bought them out. But right after I bought in, they felt secure to go to Palestine on vacation for 3 months, and I took care of everything. And in that time, the chef quit that they had hired, and he was like, you have to redo the menu and everything. It's my intellectual property. So pretty much overnight, I redid the menu at Sage, my own menu. And by the time they had gotten back, food cost was down about 14%, and sales were up 22%. So there was no arguing with that I had changed everything. And that's how, and then I eventually bought them out and owned it outright. And that's how that all happened.
And then you made that a huge success down in Silver Lake, and then now you've opened up Culver City last year.
Yes, we opened Culver City in September of last year, and I was very excited. I got approached by the landlord, and at first I said no, and I didn't think it was a good location. But as I researched that area, I started to think it was, and then a different area of the plaza opened up, and we were able to have a beer garden, and it just all started to like fall together, and I decided to do that location, and I did the offering to people like you, and we raised the money in I think 10 days or something like that, very quickly.
Unbelievable.
And almost all, with the exception of Woody Harrelson and Jason Mraz, who are the sweetest, most supportive friends a girl could have, all the other investments are customers. And Woody and Jason are customers too, but I knew them prior to them being customers. But all the other investors are customers, which is really, I feel honored by that, because it means that people came, ate the food, and believed in the product, and invested in me. So
it's the absolute truth. That's what worked for my brother and I. For our listeners out there, we have Mollie Engelhart. She's the owner and chef, and she's the visionary behind Sage Vegan. You could check out all of Mollie's great food at www.sageveganbistro.com. And if you're in Los Angeles, go to one of her 2 locations. It's amazing. Of course, I'm biased, but her food is some of the best in the whole United States. Vegan or non-vegan, it's some of the best food. Mollie, you took it into a whole new direction when you opened up Culver City. You know, you had the vision for the organic bar and beer garden, which not a lot of vegan restaurants have done. Why did you have that vision, and how has it worked out so far?
I had the vision because I'm not a didactic vegan. I don't have it like everybody should be vegan. Everybody should do whatever is best for them, and remember that we're all roommates on a rock flying through space with limited resources. But it's not for me to tell other people how they live. But
Right.
if we know that eating less meat and dairy as a numbers game is what has to happen, not like everybody has to be vegan or da da da, but that we have to eat less meat and dairy as a culture, as a society, as a planet, not just us here, but people in China, like everywhere has to do it. It has to be delicious, and it has to be accessible, and it has to be fun, because nobody wants to be yelled at, and nobody wants to be told what to do. So I wanted to create a place that, let's say you're vegan and you want to have your birthday party, and you have 25 people come out, and you guys have cocktails and buffalo cauliflower hot wings and nachos and kale salad if that's what you want, everything. And then your friends say, that place was great and the drinks were great and I'm going to go back there. And that's what I have an 80% non-veg customer base, which means that 80% of my customers would normally be eating meat in that meal, and they're not because they're eating at my restaurant. So that's actually my goal, is to have more regular folks not eat meat, because it's a numbers game. I'm not trying to sell it to the vegans. The vegans are going to come.
Right.
But I'm trying to sell it to everyone else that has been like turned off by it, or thinks it's not possible, thinks it's hard. And so, and of course, if I'm going to do something, I want it to be organic. I want it to have the least impact on the planet. So then I was like, well, let's go all organic cocktails, and let's go like almost all of our beer is either organic or unique sustainable practices by the brewery. So some of the beers aren't certified organic, but the breweries are like all wind power or solar power, or they sell all their spent hops goes to feed cattle.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of other ways that the breweries are doing stuff, and all of our hard alcohol is certified organic, with the exception of bourbon, which is just certified non-GMO.
Got it. So, so the Organic Bar and Beer Garden have turned out to be, every time I'm there, they seem to be a wild success for you as a business venture.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great. It's not like if I owned a regular restaurant, it's not the 30 to 40% alcohol sales like other restaurants. But that's okay, because people that are eating this way are not getting smashed with their meal. They're having a glass of wine, they're having a cocktail, but it is a great success in that it's doing well financially, and that people are coming and gathering with their friends. I mean, every night we have reservations for 20, for 15. We even had to make up a special way to do, because we have reservations for 60, and like how to deal with these large parties, because people love to congregate there in that space.
Wow.
And that's the real success.
Mollie, I've, of course, gotten to know you over the last couple of years, and you become a friend, and a good friend at that. And I know this is really your DNA and culture, sustainability and environment. As you say, you're a vegan from the womb. Talk a little bit about how you are, DNA related with regards to how you operate your business, how things are locally grown, and how you're very involved, politically speaking, even on the non-GMO and other things, that you really believe in everything you're doing, and how you really try to push the movement forward every way you can.
Well, I'm super anti-GMO because I actually think that maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe the motivation behind GMO way back in the beginning had integrity, and it was to feed more people and whatever like that. But it has lost its way. It is not a good idea, and we don't even know what we're eating. We don't even have the opportunity, because there hasn't even been, the labeling hasn't even been able to pass. So unless we're constantly educating ourselves on what are the 11 foods that are genetically modified, or now it's 13 foods, and now salmon has been genetically modified, and we have to constantly be updating ourselves on what could be genetically modified, and then only buying those from certified organic sources, because that's our only option, really. And I don't want people to feel scared that they're eating rat DNA in their lettuce or whatever. I want them to feel secure. So I only buy my produce from small and local farmers that are certified organic, or some of them are too small financially to certify organic, and they are growing specifically for me. And I even have this one family, it's a Latino family in Oxnard, and they came to me and they were like, we want to grow for you. And I was like, these are what I would need for you to grow for me. And they were like, well, we don't even know about this. And I literally like spent time to teach them about how to farm differently. And I have purchased seeds for them so that they knew where to buy non-GMO tomato seeds, non-GMO zucchini seeds. And now they grow, for farmers markets and all this other stuff besides me. And they're growing all organically and all organic practices. And it's extraordinary. And they're one of my big, contributors as far as produce goes every week. And then my father is a huge contributor. My dad's taken it to the next level. He's a biodynamic farmer, so it's like even a step further than organic. And my dad brings produce for Gracias Madre, Cafe Gratitude, and Sage every single Wednesday night. He has a huge refrigerated van, and it comes down, and him and my two uncles take turns who's going to go and bring the produce down. So that's nice. I get to see my family, and they bring fresh produce. And we're constantly educating ourselves about what's next and what's important for the environment. And like right now, my family's main passion is composting. Like since we've realized about that the exact amount of carbon that is in the air that's out of whack with the normal like ups and downs is missing out of the top 8 inches of topsoil. So it's really clear that the only way we can put that back in is to create humus, like the healthy soil. And the only way to create healthy soil is composting.
Wow. Mollie, we're down to the last 3 minutes or so. Can you share with our listeners, I mean, you know so much about sustainability and about, where things are today because this is how you live. Can you share 3 simple things, solutions for our listeners out there that they could do right now that aren't that expensive that can make a difference?
Yeah, it's sometimes so overwhelming as to what to do, and there's some small things that you can do that make a huge difference. And the first one I always tell people is like hygiene products, like the soap that you use for your laundry and the soap that you use on your body, and because that is taking direct contact with you as a human and like your body, your health, but it's also going directly like down into the ocean, like we're washing our clothes and everything. So I always recommend, and there's some very inexpensive eco brands out there. Even Costco now has some environmentally friendly brands and stuff like that. I always tell people the plastic bag thing, the plastic thing is gnarly. Like just don't buy plastic. Just don't buy. Like if you just commit, no more plastic water bottles. I'm going to bring my own water bottle, and I'm not going to use plastic bags. Just that is like a huge amount of plastic that in 1 year you stop using.
That's
and
great.
I would also then just say food. And people think it's so hard to eat organic, but at least within the bigger cities, Trader Joe's has made it really easy to buy inexpensive organic food. Farmers markets are a great place to get inexpensive organic food. But like what we spray on our food is super important, and it really matters. And that also is just getting washed off and going directly into the ocean. And then cutting back on meat and dairy is super important. It's a numbers game.
Mollie, where are you going to be 10 years from now? Where are you going to take you and your restaurant chain in the next 10 years? What's your vision? We got 1 minute left, and I want our listeners to hear what's your vision for the future.
I'd like to open a few more Sages the way that it is, like with the beer garden and that in prominent cities in Los Angeles. And I would like to open a smaller, fast casual concept that fits in 1,500 square feet, that's inexpensive to open, that I can put everywhere so more people can have access to healthy organic food.
Well, I hope that happens, Mollie, because more people need access to healthy organic food, and your food is some of the best in the whole nation. For our listeners out there that want to learn more about Mollie and her great food, it's www.sageveganbistro.com. Thank you, Mollie, for being a visionary culinary and sustainability superstar. You are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you so much, John.